welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the January transfer window and who I think Marcel and Marco Silva should be looking at come the transfer window, which type of players, which type of positions that need focusing on, and how we really can strengthen this team and make sure that we have the personnel to perform in this attacking style and mentality that Marco Silva is trying to install into the club. So just before I start the video, I have got a couple of things to say. The first thing being, we have just hit 50 subscribers on the channel. We actually hit 50 subscribers yesterday. I just want to say a massive thank you to anyone that's subscribed, anyone that's ever watched the videos, commented, liked, had an input. You know, we get quite a few comments on the video, a lot more than what I'd expect on the videos, and it's great to interact with you guys in the comments and hear your opinions and hear your thoughts on the teams and the performances and where we need to strengthen and things like that. So thank you guys so much for subscribing and hitting 50, and now on to the next milestone now, which I guess is 100. We're also one Twitter follower away from 50 Twitter followers as well, so if you haven't followed us on Twitter, our @ is in the description below. It's also on that side of me, it's @MightyBluesYT, so you can go and follow us there just for general updates on Everton Football Club and the players and injuries and team selections and things like that. So thank you guys so much for 50 subscribers. Next, I just wanted to say that I know that we are only 6 games into the season and the January transfer window is still quite a way off. You know, we've only just had the summer transfer window and we've only just come out of that sort of debacle of signing 3 players on transfer deadline day. But I did just want to make this video because I think it's clear from the first 6 games the positions that we need to strengthen in and the players that are becoming apparent that they're not quite good enough to perform how we need to perform and to get the results against the bigger teams and even against the smaller teams in the case of West Ham and Huddersfield. So I did just want to make this video to sort of put it out there now while we can obviously clearly see the issues. So looking at the Arsenal, the West Ham and the Huddersfield game specifically, it's quite clear the positions that we seem to be lacking on and that we seem to have not enough players to play in them positions. The first one being striker. Obviously we've had Cenk Tosun play there this season, we've had Dominic Calvert-Lewin play there this season. Cenk Tosun we have seen isn't very confident at the minute, hasn't got much confidence at all and hasn't managed to score. Dominic Calvert-Lewin a little bit different, you know, he has slotted this season, but at the end of the day I don't think he's quite ready in front of goal, and I don't think the fact that we didn't sign a top class striker, if you like, is Marco Silva's fault. Now Marco Silva come in and he's come into this team where Cenk Tosun obviously was introduced in January last year and he hit the ground running. You know, he scored 6 goals and he looked like he could score from anywhere. He was scoring headers, he was scoring long range goals, he was making it easy for himself, and Marco Silva's obviously come in, seen him perform like that last season and seen him perform similar in training and thought, right, we've got a striker that we can go with. Little did he know that at the start of the season Cenk wasn't going to be able to, you know, put the ball in the back of the net, and his confidence was really going to be effective, and effectively he was going to become sort of not useless because he does work hard and his work rate is there, but in terms of being in front of goal, you know, he doesn't have an impact and hasn't had an impact all season. So Marco Silva wasn't to know that, but I think now it's clear 6 games in, even if Cenk Tosun gets underway, and there's absolutely no saying that he won't go and bag his first goal against Fulham, and then from then on he'll, you know, absolutely look fantastic and he'll start to score 5 or 6 goals in the next few games, and then he'll look like a solid striker that we can rely on. I still think we need another striker in January to back that up. Now the reason for that being is I don't particularly think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is ready yet. I think he's a good player, I think he's a good young player, and he's definitely got the potential to be ready, and he's definitely got the potential to be a top striker in this league, but I just don't think he's there at the moment. I think he's got a lot to work on in terms of his finishing, in terms of his final ball, in terms of his decision making, and we only had to look at the Arsenal game in the first 5 minutes where he, you know, if he slots or at least has a shot in that one-on-one against Petr Cech and gives us the opportunity to go 1 goal up or even pass it through to Richarlison, then the game's it's much different. It's a different game if he does that, but I think the inexperience and the fact that he is still young just got too much for him, and he didn't end up making that decision quick enough, and I do think that we'll see that a lot with Calvert-Lewin this season, especially if he's starting games, is the indecisiveness of getting himself in positions and doing well to get himself in them positions, but then not knowing what to do when he gets there. And you know, I've seen a few comments of, well, Tosun would have finished it if he was in that position. Again, you can't say that. Going on Cenk Tosun's performances this season, he would have done something pretty similar, to be honest. So I think it's clear for me that we need to bring in a striker, and it needs to be a Premier League goal scoring striker. There's no point in bringing in a striker that scored 25 goals last season in the Italian league, or 30 goals in the German league, or 15 goals in the Turkish league. There's no point, because this league is a whole different ball game. We've seen world-class players come to the Premier League and crumble. We've seen it with Falcao. Obviously, he went to Manchester United first and was their Lord and Saviour after Van Persie left and was going to be the next big thing. Didn't do anything. Angel Di Maria as well, very similar situation, went to Manchester United, left Real Madrid as one of the 3 best players in the world, and came to Man United, and I think he scored 4 times, and I think 2 of them were against Everton, ironically, which always happens. But yeah, he didn't perform well at all, so it doesn't matter how good the player is on a foreign stage. We really have to have a player come in that's experienced in this league and that can do it in this league and that's proven that he can score in this league. For me, especially if the situation with Tosin and Calvert-Lewin is going to carry on till January and we're going to see them 2 players still lack confidence and still lack goals from now until January, we need to make sure whoever we bring in can guarantee that they're going to, you know, get started and they're going to score goals in January, and we're not going to be waiting for them to bed in and get used to the league and all that. So having said that, and having talked about players in this league, obviously we've got, you know, every team's got a striker. There's some really good strikers in this league. Realistically, which of them will come to Everton? There's few, to be honest. I just want to talk about the shouts that have been battered around in you know, recent weeks. We've had Marcus Rashford battered around. I think that was purely because he was thrown about towards the end of the summer transfer window as well, and Jamie Carragher said, you know, he should go to a club like Everton to build his career and sort of get him a little bit more experience in the league. And Jamie Vardy's another one who was battered about when we first sold Lukaku as sort of a replacement. Now for me, both of these players have negatives and positives to them, and if we were to sign both of these players, they have negatives and positives. So we'll talk about Marcus Rashford first. I think Marcus Rashford is a brilliant player, and he's proven that he is under the right guidance going to be a world-class striker, and he really is. And for that reason, Manchester United aren't going to sell him to Everton. And no, I don't think no matter what the price is, he isn't going to leave on a permanent Manchester United to any club. I don't think they'll allow that to happen. He's a local lad, he's grown up a Manchester United fan, and he's clearly got the talent, and you can see how good of a player he can be. They ain't going to sell him. Realistically, if Marcus Rashford comes to Everton, he's going to be coming on a year-long loan or maybe a 2-year-long loan. And that's where I think we'd fall short. I think, don't get me wrong, Marcus Rashford isn't getting as much game time as he probably should for Man United, and he would probably, you know, benefit off getting more game time and being able to play more, but he's still massively inconsistent when he plays. In some games you get a worldie out of him, like the game that he played for England in the friendlies a few months back, and some games you get absolutely nothing from him, and that's where I think Everton would have the problem with Marcus Rashford. Now realistically, when you think about it, if you're bringing in a player on a 2-year-long loan, you're looking for an impact, you're looking for a player that you know can score goals, you know is going to put the ball in the back of the net, and you don't have that with Marcus Rashford. He can score goals, but like I say, that inconsistency could cause him to have a 6-month period or so where he doesn't find the net consistently, and you're sort of back into the same situation as we've got now with Tosin and Calvert-Lewin of struggling to score and not being able to put the ball in the back of the net. And therefore, you know, we've just signed a lad that's going to be in the exact same situation as we are now. So yeah, for me, I'd sign off for Manchester United sort of for Marcus Rashford. I don't think they'd sell him to us, but you know, there's no harm in throwing a bid at them and saying, you know, well, we'll take him off your hands, we'll develop him, maybe throwing a buyback clause in there for a few years. If we were going to sign him on loan, it would have to be a 2-year loan for me to give him enough time to sort of get that consistency and be able to score goals every week in the Premier League. If it wasn't a 2-year-long loan and they were only willing to have like a short-term loan or a 1-year-long loan, I don't think that it will be beneficial really to Everton, because I just don't think he'll come in and have that impact and hit the ground running quick enough to substantiate a 1-year loan really. So the other option, like I mentioned there, was Jamie Vardy. Again, Jamie Vardy's got positives and negatives to him. The fact that he is ageing now. Obviously, we've seen him retire from international football in the recent months. He's getting older and older, which just generally, in terms of human beings, means that he's going to get slower, he's going to get less energetic, he's going to be more stiff on the ball and things like that, and he's going to lose a lot of the attributes that really do enhance Jamie Vardy's game. He's known for his pace, his strength, his power and his finishing, and you know, if you look at pace and power and things like that, they're going to decrease as he gets older. And like I say, in terms of Jamie Vardy, that wouldn't be a loan for me, that would be a permanent. I don't know how much Leicester would be willing to sell him for. I don't know how much Leicester want him for at the minute. You know, when we were looking to sign him, a summer ago when we saw Lukaku, he was getting rumoured to be linked with Arsenal, and he was rejecting sort of £50 million moves to Arsenal. So if we're looking at a similar price, I wouldn't go for Jamie Vardy because I think that's too much. If you can pick up a Jamie Vardy for a £15 million and you know that he's going to come in January and he's going to score you 10-15 goals and make sure that he gets you a goal a game, and I think that's what you get with Jamie Vardy. You get that consistency that he's going to come on and score you the goal. You know, you're confident with Jamie Vardy in front of goal, one-on-one the keeper. He's going to put the ball in the back of the net. But I think in terms of a long-term replacement and somebody that can come in long-term, Jamie Vardy isn't that man. He's just somebody to come in sort of short-term over a couple of years and do a job. Then again, you say that, and then you look at the likes of Gareth Barry who come in and you were thinking, all right, Gareth Barry's going to come in and just play the odd game at centre midfield, and he ended up playing 4 years at Everton, and his first couple of seasons was absolutely fantastic, and our player of the year for me in his first season, and you know, didn't end up leaving till a couple of seasons ago when he was really aging. So you never know. Like I said, it'd be interesting to hear your guys' opinions on the Vardy and Rashford situation. Do you agree with me? Do you think Rashford is a little bit inconsistent to only have on a year-long loan? Do you think we'd need more time with him to develop him and get as much out of him? Do you think Jamie Vardy would be a good option for the short term? Maybe even him on a 6-month loan. I don't think Leicester would loan him, but maybe even him for sort of, I don't know, a season or so, just to bed him in and make sure we've got constant goals there while we look for another replacement. It'd be interesting to hear your guys' opinions and who else you think could come in terms of Premier League strikers or strikers that have played in the Premier League before. So another few names that have been battered about. Michy Batshuayi was obviously battered about quite a bit in the summer as a player that we could sign on loan from Chelsea. Again, I think it's a similar situation to Marcus Rashford. He is very young and he is quite inconsistent in terms of Premier League, but you know he's got the skill there and he's got the potential there and he can put the ball in the back of the net. I'd be looking at a similar situation with Michy Batshuayi. If we were to try and sign him, it would be, you know, go with Chelsea with a bid, and if we can sign him on a permanent, brilliant, because I do think he's got the potential there. But if not, I think looking at a 2-year-long loan is sort of the best option so that we can get the most out of the player realistically, because if we're going to bring him in for the year and then he's going to take a little bit of time to bed in with the team, and obviously with his youth and with his inexperience, he's not going to quite get down to that consistent level quick enough. Again, we're going to end up just putting ourselves even more at risk, because we're going to bring in another striker that isn't going to be able to play to what we need for the first 3 months, and by that time it might be too late by the time he comes into form. So it'd be interesting to hear your guys' opinions on that as well. So in terms of other positions as well, obviously you're looking at the other positions on the field that we are lacking in at the minute. Right back is one that sticks out for me. Since Seamus Coleman got injured, or even before Seamus Coleman got injured from the start of the season, I don't particularly think Seamus has had a good season so far. I think the games that he played, he looked sluggish, and often he looked like he was unconfident in himself, and he just lost his confidence and his edge to start forward, and he really didn't look himself. And I don't know whether that's because of the injury or what, but he really didn't look himself this season, and then obviously he's had that injury and he's been taken out the team. His replacement, John Joe Kenny, who has come in, for me it's a hard one. I like John Joe Kenny. I think he works hard, and he does work extremely hard, and he's never Evertonian, and he wants to play for the shirt and he wants to play for the team. I just don't think he's good enough at the minute. I don't think he's good enough defensively. In terms of attacking, he can go forward and he can swing a cross in, but in terms of being able to defend and knowing where his players is, he does the basics well. He gets up for headers and things like that, but his awareness of where players are and where the ball is and around him really isn't good enough, and we've seen him get caught out a couple of times this season, and for me, that is why Marco Silva and Marcel Brands need to be in the market for a right back as well. Even a similar situation to the Digne and Bain situation, you bring a right back in and they then all of a sudden pressure Seamus Coleman and John Joe Kenny, and then maybe even they start games, and you know, Coleman has to fight his way back into the team, and it brings that fight back into Seamus Coleman that we know he's got, but maybe he's just getting a little bit lackadaisical because he knows the position is his. So other positions as well, obviously we've come short in terms of just attackers generally this season. I think central attacking midfielders, obviously we've brought Bernard in. We're unsure of where Bernard will play this season, whether he'll play on the left, whether he'll play behind the striker. We know that if he is playing on the left, it leaves only Gylfi Sigurdsson that can play in that number 10 role, if you like. And yeah, I think Gylfi can get worn out and can get to a point where, you know, he plays too many games, and he's obviously, Gylfi's game is to run around that midfield and to collect balls and to pass it on, and he already doesn't have that much pace to start with. So if he's going to play a lot of games this season, we are going to need somebody that can come in, replace him and do a job, if not a better job than he does, and give him the time to rest. Central midfield as well, another position. Obviously we've still got Andre Gomez to come in, and we'll see what he is like when he cracks down. Morgan Schneiderlin, a disregard game. It'll be really interesting to hear what you guys think about this, because obviously we've got Tom Davies and Benny Beningame and players like that, but people are very quick to slate Tom Davies and to say that he's not good enough. For me, he is good enough, but I suppose the question to the Tom Davies criticism, and if he's not good enough, who comes in then? Who replaces Tom Davies? If Sneijder or Gay isn't available, and obviously Gomez isn't available now, who comes in to replace Tom Davies? Who is it? Do we need another central midfielder? Do we need a stronger central midfielder that takes control? And it really was a disregard game when we first signed him. In his first season, he took control and he bossed that midfield. But now he's just looking a bit sluggish. And I don't know whether that's because he's got 3 other people in the midfield and they're sort of just bumping into each other and into grinding when they shouldn't. I don't know whether since his injury in the African Cup of Nations, he hasn't come back quite the same player. But let me know what you guys think on that. Do you think we need a solid central midfielder that can, do that job and can play defensively, but can also bring the ball forward and is more of an attacking sort of option and threat, if you like? So for me, other than that attacking position, that centre forward that we need, I do just think we need a ball player, a playmaker, somebody that gets the ball and dictates the game. You're looking at like Mikel Arteta-esque player, David Silva for City, somebody that whenever they're on the ball, you know that something's going to be created or we're going to cause a danger to the opposition and it's going to be attacking. I was hoping that Sigurdsson would be that type of player when he come in. It turns out Sigurdsson's now adopted sort of a different role. Again with Bernard, when he come in, I thought, okay, Bernard's going to be that player. Hasn't seen much of him. Obviously, he's unfit at the minute and he hasn't played football properly for a long period of time, in a long time. So he might still be that player, he might be that player to come in. We've definitely seen glimpses of him getting the ball and knowing where he's going to play the ball before he's got it. Whether he'll live up to be that player is to be seen yet, but I think we do really need a playmaker that can come in and whenever they get the ball, they're going to make something, they're clever, they're tricky, and also somebody that can hit a ball, isn't afraid to hit a ball, and that can score as well, other than the attackers, the Richarlisons and that, which we know can do that job. We need someone that can do it in the midfield and that can dictate the midfield sort of and make sure that a Kevin De Bruyne-esque player, if you like, somebody that just sits in the pocket, sits in the midfield, and that as long as he's there, your midfield's safe. The defence have got faith in him to have the ball and to have their back, and the attackers have got faith in them to give them opportunities and to make sure that they get on the score sheet. So yeah, that I think in terms of players that we need to bring in, positions that we need to look at in January, I think a striker, definitely. I think a right back is also a necessity. Obviously, we've addressed the situation at left back and brought in Lucas Dean, who has been brilliant so far, and I think that a similar situation to do at right back is needed as well. A central midfielder that can get on the ball and that can be a playmaker and that can cause a threat is badly needed for me. We never know. We might see Bernard be that player in the space between now and January. If we don't, I think that is vital. And then it doesn't hurt to maybe have another centre half come in. I think Michael Keane's been playing well this season. Still to see Yerry Mina, obviously. Kurt Zuma's playing well. And then you've got, the likes of Mason Holgate, who will only improve with them type of players around them. But yeah, I think, just to summarise, I think striker, attacking player, attacking midfielder, not so much an attacking midfielder position-wise, but a midfielder that can create chances and really play make and sit in that pocket and dictate the midfield, and a right back as well are the 3 positions that I think we really need to be looking at. And I do have faith that Marcel Brands will be looking at in January, and he will seriously be looking at these positions, and he will have players in mind, and I wouldn't be surprised if the first week of January we have a striker in and we have a right back in, and the players that we have in have already sort of been in talks and verbally agreed to sign before the window actually opens. So that's it for me in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who do you think we need to bring in? Do you have any specific players in mind? Do you have any specific positions? Do you think that Jamie Vardy or Marcus Rashford would be good to bring in? Do you have faith that Cenk Tosun will get it underway and we won't be in need of a striker in January? Or do you think we still need to bring somebody in just to back up and have that proven Premier League goal scorer that you can always call upon if needed? So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, do drop it a like. If you want to see more content from me and the Mighty Blues, then do hit the subscribe button. Again, thank you very much for 50 subscribers. I will be recording and uploading the preview to the Fulham game on Friday. We'll see Marco Silva's press conference. We'll hear a little bit more about the team, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this will be the game where we see Yerry Mina fit and ready to start a football match for Everton Football Club, and hopefully it's at Goodison in front of our fans. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon on the Mighty Blues.